Well, hello and welcome to the e-commerce podcast with me, your host, Matt Edmundson. Now, this is a show all about helping you deliver e-commerce wow, and to help us do just that. Fresh from his journey to Sub Summit, which we're all going to get into, I am talking to Qi Cao from ChargeBlast about the dreaded chargebacks. Oh, yes. I think it's the first time we've talked about this on the e-commerce podcast, which is bizarre given how many episodes we've actually done. But we are going to get into all of that today. So if you struggle with chargebacks, get your notebooks, get your pens, because you're going to want to listen to this one. Now, of course, if you are subscribed to the newsletter, all of the notes, all of the links will be coming straight to your inbox. But if you're not subscribed, you may as well go ahead and do it because they're going to come to you. So just go to ecommercepodcast.net, sign up, and we'll send it to you every week when a new episode is released. And of course, a very, very warm welcome to you if this is your first time here with us at e-commerce podcast, or as we affectionately call it on the inside of the office, EP, because, you know, we just like to abbreviate everything these days, don't we? But a very, very warm welcome to you. Hope you enjoyed the show. We just like talking about e-commerce. Just like you, I am an e-commerce entrepreneur. A preneur? Or preneur, yeah, take your pick, I don't mind. No. But I run my own e-commerce businesses, so I just love this because I get to pick the brains of geniuses about all things to do with e-commerce. And Qi is a genius. He is not your average entrepreneur. Oh no, he's a business building wizard who turned his magic into $5 million with 2 ventures in less than a year. From dissecting hedge funds to strategic corporate moves, and even consulting on the side. I don't know what that means, but it sounds a bit dodgy. Sounds really good though. He's done it all with a Yale biology degree. Not your usual qualification for this show, I'm not going to lie. He's got a Yale biology degree in his back pocket because who says you can't mix science with business? Now, with an entrepreneurial spirit as unique as his educational path, he crafts success stories by viewing the world through a microscope. Qi, good to have you on the show, man. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Matt. Thanks for having me on the show. I don't know if I'm quite a genius, but I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, definitely more than me. I've definitely not got a degree in biology.
Pretty useless.
Pretty useless degree. But so why did you do it? Why did you go to Yale to do biology? Were you going to do the doctor thing, or was there something else in mind?
Yeah, I was going to do the doctor thing. I grew up in this small town called Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah.
No one really knows about that town, except maybe you know the fact that the Mayo Clinic is located there. Mm-hmm. So I was surrounded by biology, surrounded by doctors, and I thought, that's kind of all I knew. So got into Yale, studied biology, did research for 4 years, but it wasn't really my passion. I love doing businesses on the side. Had a couple of startups in college, so really went headfirst post-grad.
Wow. So what made you jump from Yale biology to chargebacks then? I mean, there's got to be a story there, because that's not your usual, it's not your usual journey, is it really?
No. I mean, it's quite the journey. I'm going to abbreviate it a little bit, but a lot of my life was really driven around having more skin in the game.
Okay.
So like you mentioned, I started my career in consulting, very little skin in the game, right? Then I joined a unicorn called Indigo Ag, an agriculture technology company. I had equity, but I'm not part of the C-suite, so I couldn't make the decisions, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a little bit more skin in the game, but not quite. Then I joined a hedge fund, which is a lot more skin in the game. I get paid for how much I make. Right. Unfortunately, not all of my decisions would end up in the book, or not all of my pitches would end up in the actual portfolio. So it's not 100% equity. So I ended up going and starting a business with one of my good friends and his brother. So my 2 other co-founders, and we started off in the SaaS business, consumer SaaS. And the issue with consumer SaaS is you get chargebacks because people forget to cancel their subscriptions, and we have friends in e-commerce as well, right? Some drop shippers where you have supply chain issues, lots of chargebacks, and we realized there wasn't really a good solution that was tech forward and tech first for chargeback. So here we are.
Here we are indeed. Here we are indeed. And we were saying before we hit the record button, actually, that both, although we didn't actually meet in person, both you and I were at the Sub Summit event.
Yep, that's right.
How did you find Sub Summit this year? 2024 at the time of recording, by the way. We're in July 2024. So Sub Summit was, 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite good. I mean, first off, the ICP is definitely our ideal customer profile, right? Subscription-based businesses, whether it's e-commerce or SaaS, or e-commerce turning into a subscription model. We spoke to a few of those. Really interesting, and many of them dealt with chargebacks just because of that subscription model, right? One really interesting company that I spoke to, they had a wearable device that they used to sell for, I think, like $200, right? And they're moving to a subscription model of $20 a month to lower that initial hurdle of payment. But ultimately, that's going to result in a higher chargeback rate, most likely. No one really thinks about the $20 a month until it, gets charged 6 times over, right? And now it's $120. Then you start thinking about it a bit.
Yeah. No, fair play. Well, let's get into this. Let's get into the old chargeback thing. So let's first and foremost, because I think it's important for those, because I think the term chargeback is used differently in different parts of the world. And we have different names to describe the same thing. So let's, for the sake of clarity, for the listeners listening around the world, what do you mean when you say chargeback?
Yep. A chargeback is when a consumer reaches out, whether it's phone or through an app, to their credit card company and effectively demands their money back. And the reason for a chargeback is typically the product wasn't delivered or the product quality was bad. But there's more and more friendly fraud nowadays where they'll basically say, I never got the product.
Yeah.
But they really did get the product.
Yeah.
So they basically just want the product for free.
Yeah.
So that is what a chargeback in essence is.
Yeah. So this is where I order a product and at some point I contact my credit card company and say, that's not a fair transaction. Either it didn't arrive or I never ordered it or whatever. And the credit card then take the money back off you and they put it back onto my card. And you really, as a supplier, well, actually, let me ask you this question rather than make a statement. Does the supplier, because we've all faced this, right? We've all had people do chargebacks. Some industries, I think, are more prone to it than others. It seems that way to me. They have different chargeback percentages in different industries. I'm kind of curious, if a chargeback happens, right? So let's go with your example, the friendly fraud, which I quite like that phrase. There's nothing friendly, though, about fraud. Fraud is fraud. And so they've received the product, but then claim that they didn't receive it. Do you, as a supplier, have any comeback on that chargeback, if that makes sense? Listen to that question in my head. Do I have any comeback on the chargeback?
Yeah, so there's an opportunity when a chargeback goes through the card networks and eventually reaches your processor. So for example, Shopify payments, the merchant will be notified, hey, this customer charged back. Can you submit evidence to show whether this is a legitimate or illegitimate chargeback? However, the scale is always tilted towards the consumer.
Yeah.
So the industry win rate across all industries for a merchant is 10 to 20%.
Right.
So 80 to 90% of the time, the merchant loses a chargeback. And depending on the average order value, fighting a chargeback with a 10% win rate doesn't make any sense, right? Let's say you're selling a $30 good, right? Yeah. And you have a 10% chargeback rate. Well, my expected return on fighting it is $3.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Shopify hits me with a $15 chargeback fee every time one reaches Shopify.
Wow.
So now every time I'm fighting a dispute, I'm losing $12. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're also lowering the health of your payment processing account, which is even more important. So ultimately, yes, there is an opportunity to fight chargebacks. However, in many cases, it doesn't actually make sense to fight them.
So why would it not? Let's take the example of somebody saying it's not been delivered, but I have, it's a signed delivery. I have their signature on a piece of paper. I have proof that actually it did arrive. Why would it not make sense for me to fight that? Why would it make sense for me just to go, no, that's fine?
Well, like I said, the win rate is 10 to 20%. Even if you have signatures. So we worked with an online travel agency before. People charge back their airplane tickets all the time.
Wow.
They do the trip. At the end of the trip, they'll be like, that wasn't me. And you'll have signatures, you'll have IP address, residential address, your terms of service, refund policy, all signed, docu-signed by the person. And the online travel agency loses 90% of the time.
Wow.
And the reason why is because think about it from an incentives perspective. What do credit card companies care about at the end of the day? They care about the consumer swiping their credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say you're a consumer and you use Capital One credit card and you're charging back and you never win these chargebacks. Even though it's friendly fraud, you're like, oh, that's kind of annoying. But my friend told me American Express, you always win chargebacks. Well, I'm going to just get an American Express card and I can save like $500 a year or $1,000 or $10,000 in chargebacks, right? So the incentives are not quite there for merchants to benefit from submitting evidence.
So even if you submit, because this is where I get a little bit angry, if I'm honest with you, because it's that righteous anger, but I go, but that's unfair. I'm the kind of guy that would go, actually, no, they are committing fraud. I'm prepared to submit evidence, even though I'm not as likely to win it, because I think actually it's unfair. And I think that I can choose to block that customer and never sell to them again and just go, frankly, you've burnt all your bridges. So is it a case of, I get that the credit card companies are going to listen to the people that swipe them most. So is it a case of they just don't care about the evidence? They're not that bothered. It is what it is. Just deal with it.
Yeah, it is just generally consumer protection is prioritized by the card networks, by the credit cards, etc. So it is what it is. And even though it's not fair, the amount of, let's say you're a merchant, pretty big merchant, and you're dealing with 1,000 chargebacks a month. Mm-hmm. We have merchants that deal with 20,000 chargebacks a month. So even 1,000 chargebacks a month. Now imagine submitting evidence for all 1,000 just to lose 90% of them. Mm-hmm. You get pretty discouraged pretty quick. Yeah. And then you're starting to wonder to yourself, why am I even doing this? Mm-hmm. And if you're a merchant with a fundamentally high chargeback rate, like you said, some verticals have higher chargeback rates than others. If you're in a vertical that has a fundamentally higher chargeback rate above 0.6%, your problem is not losing the chargeback. Your problem is you might lose your payment processing account. Wow. You might lose your Stripe account. You might lose your Shopify payments account. And when you lose those, well, people don't think about it, but not all payment processors are the same. Stripe has one of the highest payment authorization rates in the industry. The next payment processor you go to, maybe they only let you accept 70% of all attempted payments. Yeah. Well, you go from 95 to 70%, that's a 25% drop in sales right there. Yeah. Yeah. So it's really critical for merchants in the e-commerce space and in the SaaS space to keep their chargeback rates below that threshold of 0.6%. Yeah.
That's a really interesting number. So 0.6%. Now in the UK, right, I mean, talking about mitigating against this kind of thing. Actually, before I get into that, one of the things I'm really curious about here, and I don't know if you know the answer, has a merchant ever brought a civil suit against a consumer for committing fraud? So let's say, the travel agent has to refund $1,000 ticket through the, because somebody claims they never took the flight. Yet you've got all the documentation signed. Plus, on their social media, they went and post photos of them in Thailand or wherever, and it's you just kind of like, right. It's kind of self-evident. I'm wondering whether a merchant has ever got on his high horse here a little bit and gone, I'm not having that, and bought a civil suit. I don't know if you know the answer to that question. I'm just genuinely curious.
I'm not aware of any merchant that's done that, but just thinking about it from a merchant perspective, your goal is to generate sales and expand margins, right? If you're spending time undergoing a lawsuit with an individual, right? Because it's hard to aggregate all of the people that charge that, right? Yeah. They're all in different states. You're really going after individuals. Yeah, then you're on a side quest that I don't know if it's worthwhile for a merchant or not. Probably not.
It's really interesting, isn't it? This is, I think, probably where the differences between the US and the UK might become apparent. In the UK, we have something called 3D Secure. So this is where, for those that don't know, you go to a website, you're putting your credit card details. Part of the payment process is you then go to your bank. In effect, what happens is, so you come onto my website, you'll buy something, you're putting your credit card details. Whilst on that website, a pop-up will come up, which is in essence the bank that owns a credit card, and ask you to put in a 6-digit code, which has just been text to you to prove that it is you using the credit card, right? So we have this thing, 3D Secure. I don't think it's immutable, but I do think it's pretty good at cutting down the whole chargeback thing. Is 3D Secure like worldwide? Is it a UK thing? Are there equivalents of it that we can use?
3D Secure will certainly help move the liability from the merchant to the consumer, right? Because the consumer, at the end of the day, they get, like you said, they get that text. There's some verification and some process involved. However, the chargeback still goes through. The odds of winning with 3DS are higher, but the chargeback still hits your account.
Yeah.
So if you're a merchant with a fundamentally high chargeback rate, you still don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And we've actually done a test on this. Some of our merchants were on 3DS and they were complaining like, look, it seems like when we added 3DS, we lost some sales. These merchants removed 3DS and saw a 10 to 15% lift in sales.
Yeah.
You wouldn't imagine that just that little pop-up could actually deter that much sales.
Yeah.
But it was really, really shocking actually to see the lift in sales after they removed 3DS and protected themselves with ChargeBlast. Right? That's kind of where our ROI comes into play.
Yeah, it is, because you've then got to go, well, if my sales go down 10%, but my chargeback rate goes down, and you've got to play with the percentages. Does the increase in conversion cover the cost of the chargeback, yes or no? It's just one of those things I think you have to sit down and work through. I think the beautiful thing that we have in the UK is, I would say 98% of websites have it, with the exception of Amazon, actually. I think Amazon doesn't use it. But it has become so commonplace that everybody expects, okay, my mobile phone is going to, go off with a text. Or I can actually, now what everyone's doing is Apple Pay, because obviously that's got Face ID. And so that proves, I suppose it only proves that you did the transaction. What it doesn't prove is you've taken delivery of it, or it wasn't you that called the plane. And it doesn't differentiate on all.
Or the product is not the product that, it's damaged, right? You can still charge back with 3DS and it'll hit your account. It's just that only for fraud, the liability will shift.
So what are some of the things then that we as merchants can do to mitigate against chargebacks without cutting off our right arm, because there is always this dynamic tension, isn't there, between what we do and everything that we do. Does it cause a drop in conversion? Am I causing friction in my checkout process, or is it seamless? There's some of the big questions, aren't they? So Qi, come on, tell me, what are the secrets, man? How do I help myself here?
Well, the secret is ChargeBlast, but I'll get to that point. We get to that point in a little bit.
Of course it's ChargeBlast. Why would it not be?
So there's two types of products or solutions, there's pre-transaction solutions and there's post-transaction solutions.
Okay.
You can imagine these fraud tools to be pre-transaction, meaning it screens the customer for risk of fraud or risk of high chargeback or
Right.
chargeback history. And then you can either accept or decline the transaction. And based on that, right, you're hoping to reduce the number of chargebacks by declining potentially risky transactions. Now, there's
Okay,
also
so sorry, let me just clarify what this is here. So if I'm understanding this right, Qi, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm doing is I'm sending to you guys, or an equivalent platform, but I'm sending to, say, ChargeBlast, the customer data. I'm sending the name, the email, and a few other bits and bobs about who this customer is. You have a database of customers who are known offenders, and you therefore look at the risk of that person. Like, if you sell to this person, the risk factor is high because we know that they've done chargebacks in the past, or the risk factor is low because they've never really done any chargebacks in the past. You then send that data back to the merchant and say, do you want to carry on with this checkout process? Have I understood that correctly?
That is correct. That's not what ChargeBlast does, but that is what Shopify Payments will do, and that's what Stripe will do. Because Think about this. They have a huge network of merchants. So they've seen almost every single credit card there is in the US, right? So they know the history of those credit cards, whether they're risky or not.
Yeah.
And Stripe and Shopify, they have internal tools that merchants can use to basically say, give the thumbs up or the thumbs down when it comes to transactions.
Yeah.
So, but that's pre-transaction, right?
Yeah.
Before you actually take the transaction, you make a decision.
Yeah.
Now, post-transaction is what ChargeBlast does.
Okay.
And ChargeBlast protects against actual chargebacks. So when a customer calls or reaches out to their credit card company, that's when we'll know that there's been a chargeback, and we'll let the merchant know before the processor knows. So we front run that process a bit.
Right.
And the merchant has 48 hours to make the refund to the customer, because they're probably going to lose the dispute anyways.
Yeah.
And if they make that refund, we let the credit card company know, hey, everything's good. Don't push that chargeback forward. It's been resolved.
Right.
And thus, the chargeback never reaches Shopify or Stripe.
Right. So that protects your merchant account. It protects your rating. And I suppose it also, does it stop the extra chargeback fees coming from people like Shopify as well?
Yep. Correct. You will not be getting that $15 dispute fee from Shopify.
Right. So that's really interesting. So you intercept that somehow. Is that a US thing or is that a worldwide thing?
It's a worldwide thing.
Okay.
We work with Visa, MasterCard on it.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because it's one of the things that I've noticed, having done e-commerce for many years, is how people use different tools. For example, we noticed on the review platforms, and it doesn't matter whether you use Trustpilot or FIFO or whether you've got your own review platform, customers get these emails automatically saying, hey, leave a review on the product. Now, if they've got any kind of grievance against you, it is easier for them to go, no, these guys are complete and utter morons on that review than it is to contact customer service, right?
Yes.
So it almost becomes like a customer service tool. Like, my goods never arrived, man. What's going on? I'm just going to tell the world on a review rather than going, oh, I'll reach out to the customer service people. Now, I suppose there's a conversation in terms of how we make it easier for people to do that. And it sounds almost like you've done that with chargebacks. You've interrupted this whole process and you've made it easier for the customer to contact the merchant directly. They've got an issue. You can then resolve the issue because you've got 48 hours to do that. Would that be a fair statement? That's
a fair statement. And most of our merchants will just refund the customer.
Because again, there's such a low win.
There's such a low win rate, and then you don't really want to reach out to 1,000 customers that charge back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they charge back for a reason.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that our clients love about ChargeBlast versus some of these pre-transaction tools, like the fraud tools I mentioned, is there's no false positive. With fraud tools, you can have a risky person purchase shoes online, and they'll actually legitimately make that purchase. But if the fraud tool highlights this customer as high risk, you might turn them down. That's turning down a good transaction.
Yeah.
Right. So there's false positives with fraud tools, but with ChargeBlast, there's no false positives because it's post-transaction, and we only act when there's a signal that comes through the payment networks that the customer has charged back.
So then, if I'm understanding this right, Qi, the sort of the strategy here as an e-commerce operator is just to go, chargebacks are inevitable. Some of them will be legitimate. Some of them will just be people, committing fraud. And I just have to deal with that. And so I understand that in my industry, I have this much percentage charged back. So I have to work that as a costing in my price if I want to maintain profits, right? And therefore, using your system doesn't necessarily minimize the amount of refunds I give. It minimizes chargebacks. And it keeps the legitimate chargeback customers happy, which means they'll stay a customer. Well, possibly. It keeps the fraud customers interesting. What that happens, they kind of go, well, this is kind of easy. I'm going to do that again. And I suppose that's when you have your own internal systems, isn't it? Which just goes, actually, no, we're not selling to this customer anymore.
Exactly.
And we're just going to close their account down, and they can start up another one, but I'm never selling to that address, and you can. Or
the last 4 digits of the card number, right?
Yeah.
That's an easy way to do it.
Yeah. Easy win. And so, well, this is fascinating. So what are some, other than obviously using ChargeBlast, but what are some of the other things maybe then that we can do which are going to help us minimize people wanting to charge back? What are some of the strategies there that we can utilize, which hopefully bring the numbers down generically anyway?
Some business approaches to mitigating against chargebacks is just incredibly clear pricing terms. So sometimes, with e-commerce, you get all these promotions, promotions, discounts, and then before you know it, it's not very clear whether it's actually $9, $90, or if it's a one-time payment or a monthly payment. And that confusion often drives chargebacks.
Yeah.
So being very, very clear on the checkout page, how much the person is paying for this purchase and future purchases is a great way to reduce chargebacks, right? Another way to reduce chargebacks is have 24/7 customer support that's very high quality. Because let's say I'm a customer, I'm upset, I'm not going to charge back, but I'm going to reach out to Matt's store.
Yeah.
And I wait 3 minutes on the live chat and no one's getting back to me. Well, I'm just going to charge back now. My patience has, my 3 minutes of patience has now been filled up. That's like, it's like attention span, right? Like nowadays people don't have any patience. They just want their money back. And having good customer support that's 24/7 is a good way to also reduce chargebacks. So
but how do you do that if you're, I get how I could do that. My business is a fairly reasonable sized business. And again, I have to think the costs of doing that versus the benefits of doing that, as in how many chargebacks am I saving? But if I'm just starting out, there's no way I'm doing 24/7 support.
Right. 24/7 support is challenging, but there are services out there where if you're starting out, you could actually quite afford it. So our client support team, if you look at our Trustpilot, it's a 4.8 out of 5 stars. And we're the only company in the space that has that high of rating. Why? It's because we trained our client support team to be incredibly responsive and technologically detailed and savvy in the chargebacks industry. Now, there are a lot of services out there that enable you. Oh, and our team is in the Philippines. Right. So it's much more affordable than having a team in the US.
Yeah.
And there's many services out there. There's one called delegate.co. They have whole teams already built out.
Right.
For for entrepreneurs and just folks getting started, where you can delegate, for example, hey, this is what I'm selling. Here are the typically asked questions. Here are the policy for the refund.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what to do, just refund them.
Yeah.
And then you have all of a sudden a 24/7 customer service team that is quite affordable.
Yeah.
Right.
That's really interesting. That's very clever. It makes a lot of sense. So you can outsource it. Okay. So we've got clear pricing terms. We've got high quality 24/7 support. What else can we do to help ourselves?
Yeah. At the end of the day, having inventory is really important. And I know in e-commerce,
actually having the product you've sold in stock.
yes,
That's revolutionary. Cheap.
I mean, with drop shipping, right? Like that's almost not become a thing where the main merchant doesn't hold the inventory. It's fulfilled by like the manufacturer, fulfilled by a fulfillment company. So if you're drop shipping, it is incredibly important to be communicative with your customers when there's a supply chain issue. Your supplier comes to you and says, hey, that batch of hair products, I spilled it all over the factory floor. Now I need 2 more weeks to get a new production batch made.
Yeah.
Reach out to your customers and say, look, it's going to take 2 weeks. I'm going to give you 50% on the next order, or I'm just going to send you this free product that I know I have in inventory. And like, please remain with us as customers and be patient.
Yeah.
You usually have to give the customer something. Or you just refund them there and then. Mm-hmm. But if you're new and you're busy and you're just focused on figuring out the supply chain issues and you're not focused on your customers, you can pretty much guarantee a wave of chargebacks that will put you out of business.
Yeah.
We've seen that plenty of times with drop shipping where supply chain issue happens, wave of chargeback comes in, chargeback rate spikes to 1% to 2%, Shopify account shut down.
Yeah.
All in a matter of like a few weeks. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the
crazy.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah. And I suppose this is, this is the downside of drop shipping. There are many advantages, I think, to drop shipping, depending on whose products you drop ship. You've got to, I've seen so many people drop ship products using AliExpress or, supplies in China, which is fine. But when delivery times are like 5 to 6 weeks, you've got a bit of an issue there, right? And so I think we did this experiment once, actually. Was it better to have a drop shipping website with 1,000 products on? Or is it better to have a drop shipping a site with 1 product on? And actually what you do is you hold a minimum inventory of that product. And so you say, right, well, I sell 10 of these a week. So I'm going to have 2 weeks in stock because I know there's a 3-week lead time on the product. Right. And actually building your business up to a place where you can hold. Now, I know this goes against the rules of drop shipping, and this is the very reason why people don't do drop shipping. But I'm convinced actually in the long run, you get a better business because like you say, you're holding the stock, the inventory, or inventory, depending on where you are in the world. But you're holding that and you can get that out quickly because I think it's still the biggest deal in e-commerce. How quickly can I get the goods that the customer has ordered into their hands, right? And if I can do that, even those, I think the only exception I can think of realistically is Kickstarter, where you go, right, well, I'm going to back this campaign, but the product's going to ship in 6 months' time. Well, okay, I can cope with that, but it's never in 6 months. It's always in 12. And I'm really frustrated because they're always telling me that there's another shipping delay, to the point where I rarely buy stuff off Kickstarter now because I'm not getting the goods when I want them. And I think that's still a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal. And at the end of the day, like most things, communication is very important.
Yeah.
And making sure your customers are happy is your number one goal, right? Customers first, always. Yes. So make sure you give them a future discount or you ship whatever product you do have as like a thank you for your patience so that they'll keep coming back and they know that you care. Yeah. Because the worst thing is silence.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're waiting for your product. You can't get in touch with customer support.
Yeah.
You're not hearing from the brand owners, well, what else are you supposed to do? I'm going to charge back, right?
Yeah, it's totally true. I think making it the power of over communication can never. It sounds a bit odd now. The power in my head as I'm hearing what I'm saying. The power of over communication can never be overstated. And I think the communicating more is always better than communicating less. Even if it's bad news, just tell the bad news straight, but tell it in a way that resonates with your customers, which gets them on your side if you can.
Right.
And people have a lot of patience, I think, because everybody kind of goes, well, that's fine. You've told me, I appreciate things go wrong. Appreciate you telling me, no, that's cool. And then if you're giving them something as a result of whatever has happened, I tend to find, I don't have any specific data, it's more anecdotal, but I tend to find repeat purchase rates go up when something happened. And I'm not promoting this as a strategy, by the way, where something happened with the first order that got, messed up, you responded in a very positive way, you over communicated. You tend to find repeat purchase rates from those customers go up because they see how you have dealt with problems, right? Now, as I said, I'm not suggesting this as a strategy to screw up every first order because people will find out. But I think you can use it as a positive if you do it right to get those repeat purchases.
Right. I mean, that was Amazon's strategy from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right. When it comes to even refunds. Yeah, we'll give you your money back. It's very easy. Or if you're a brand, it feels like a company is actually working with.
Yeah.
It feels like, all right, it's kind of like your iPhone and the number of apps that you have on your iPhone. And after it gets to a certain point, you just stop downloading apps. That's your core group of apps. Now, if you're using a hair brand that you can trust and is communicative and has worked with you directly, given you promotions because they've screwed up, that's a hair brand that I can trust, or a hair product brand I can trust. And I'm going to stick with them because they know who I am. They care about, my time, and they care about me getting the product and communicating with me. There's not many. There are way more companies that do not communicate than do. And when you do communicate well and you care about the customers, you really stand out.
Yeah, that's such a powerful point. And I love that. And I just think that's what we should just do generally. It's a way to win, isn't it, really? You just have to price it into your model and have to think. And I appreciate what we're saying is a lot easier with low ticket items. I mean, if you're selling a $6,000 sweater that is a unique handcrafted thing, you might want to think about, a few other bits and bobs to go around making sure that gets delivered, but not screwing that up. But I think, with low average order value items, it's just so much easier to just be exceptional and build that trust than it is to do anything else. I often cite the story, and if you're a regular to the show, forgive me if you've heard this before. I can't remember where I've told this story, where I haven't. But there was a guy who used to work for us called Greg in customer service. Still good friends with Greg. He's an absolute legend. And our philosophy has always been give customers the kind of service that they would like but rarely encounter. In other words, treat a customer the way that you would want to be treated if you were in the same position, right? That was always the measure. And I remember this guy called up. He'd ordered some products on a Friday after the cutoff time. No. Let me rewind. He'd ordered the products on a Thursday after the cutoff time. So that order was actually sent out on the Friday because of the way that the delivery system worked here in the UK. And he called up on the Friday just in the afternoon, a bit angry because his order hadn't arrived yet. And we're like, yeah, but you only ordered it at this time on Thursday, so it's only going to get sent today. Plus, you ordered it with the standard 2-day delivery. But Greg, being Greg, didn't then go, so therefore this is your fault, deal with it. He said, can I ask why is this a problem? And he said, this is a birthday present for my wife, and tomorrow's her birthday. Now, Greg had recently got married, right? So he understood the pain of this fella when he said, it's my wife's birthday and I've not got a present for her now. Greg's like, totally get that, would not want to be in that position. So Greg resends out the order late on a Friday. He has everybody in the warehouse sign a birthday card. He gift wraps all the presents, all the products inside the box for free, and he even throws in some chocolates, and he sends it out to this guy on a next day overnight delivery to get there before 9 o'clock, right? And on the Monday after this had happened, the guy that got that parcel called me. He wanted to talk to me. He said, I need to talk to the guy at the top. So he ends up on the phone with me. I go, how can I help you? And he said, I want to tell you the story about Greg. And I thought, oh, here we go. This is going to be interesting. And so he relays to me the story that I've just told you. This guy is beside himself at the level of customer service that Greg experienced. As he's talking, I'm writing down the cost of the cost of everything that Greg did. It cost me like an extra $30. That whole order, assuming he when the second order arrives, he actually ships it back rather than keeps it. But assuming everything goes well, I'm out like $40 or whatever it was. But what I can tell you is they never went anywhere else, and they kept coming back time and time and time again. And they told all of their friends, and from a marketing point of view, you can go, yes, well, I lost the $30, but what an investment that was. I bought Greg a pint, I think, as a result of doing that. I thought it was a really clever thing to do. Give that customer service that you would like yourself if you're in the same position is what I hear you saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same with us. One of the reasons why we founded ChargeBlast was we were using a solutions provider, and we wouldn't hear back from them for 2 weeks when we had issues. And we were having issues with our Stripe account. We were about to lose it. Now imagine a business owner about to lose his payment processor and not being able to accept payments while spending $8,000 or whatever a day on ads. You're sweating it, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
With all my ad money going to waste. So like one great example, and you really just got to go out of your way and think outside of the box, is one of our clients. He does, he's in the subscription razor space, does pretty good volume. And what we noticed is Shopify actually doesn't count chargebacks correctly when they're using a certain solution.
Right.
So his chargeback rate in reality was much lower than Shopify was presenting on the dashboard.
Right.
And he got hit with some reviews, holds, and even some Stripe capital issues. And what we did was we drafted a whole report for this client, took all his data, Stripe data, our data, put it together, really succinct, nice notes, and we gave it to him to share with the Shopify team. He actually shared it with the president of Shopify, who responded and said, oh, you're absolutely right. Because you're using ChargeBlast, your chargeback rate is actually 0.2%, not 0.8%.
Right.
And that made all the difference. He got his Stripe capital back, he got his reserve lifted, and he wasn't at risk of losing his Shopify account. So just going out of the way for your clients and doing bespoke work like that makes a world of difference. And they leave a great review, and everyone else sees it, and they're like, okay, these guys care.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. And just one other thing I think we talked about, you mentioned it then, he's a subscription razor business, I think you said, shaving, isn't it? I found with subscriptions, one of the ways that's worked for us to reduce chargebacks is to make it easy for customers to manage their subscription. So when we started sending out emails to customers who are subscribers saying, your subscription is due in 7 days, you don't need to do anything, it's going to be automatic. But if you'd like to, you can snooze that subscription for like 7 days or 2 weeks. I can't remember what we put in the email, to be fair. As soon as we gave customers the ability to press a button in an email and snooze that order, the cancellations went down and the chargebacks went down. So again, this is that over communication, right? It's making it, if it's easier for a customer to do a chargeback than it is to control their subscription through your website, they're going to do the chargeback. Is a reality, right? Because they're going to go they're like water. They're going to go the easiest route. So you've got to make it easier for them, I feel.
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
So, Qi, loving the conversation. I'm aware of time. So this is the stage of the conversation where I say to you, what's your question for me? Now, this is a question that I'm going to put on social media, and I will answer it on social media. not here in the podcast, but I'm curious to know what the question is.
Sure. So I've seen a lot of different merchants who have shipped really interesting products, really weird and things I think no one would buy, but people buy it. So I guess, like, what's the wackiest product that you've seen in the e-commerce world that is actually much higher sales than you would ever expect?
That's such a cool question. Oh, brilliant. If you want to know the answer to that question, I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, you follow me on social media. Just go find me at Matt Edmundson. I'm on the usual channels and I will put the answer there. What's the wackiest product? Brilliant. Love that. Qi, listen, great question, man. Great conversation. How do people reach you? How do they connect with you if they want to do that? Maybe they want to know more about ChargeBlast. Maybe they just got some questions for you. What's the best way to do it, bro?
Sure. My X profile is Qi like cheetah. So QI like cheetah. That's a good way to connect with me. And then on LinkedIn, you can find me, Qi Cao. I'm one of the founders of ChargeBlast.
Fantastic. And we will, of course, link to Qi's info in the show notes, which you'll be getting for free, along with the transcript at ecommercepodcast.net. Just go hunt out the website and hunt out the episode on the website, and you'll see all the links there. But of course, if you're subscribed to the email, just go look in your inbox because they'll be there. They're super easy, making it super easy for you. Qi, listen, loved it, man. Great to meet you. Great to connect. Are you at Sub Summit next year? Are you going to go back?
Yeah, we'll definitely be there.
So I'll see you there. I've already been invited back for 2025, which is very exciting. So we'll see you at Sub Summit 2025. But it's been a huge pleasure, man. Loved having you on the show. Loved hearing your thoughts and ideas on this, and enjoying seeing what you guys are doing at ChargeBlast. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.
No problem. No problem. What a great conversation. Huge thanks again to Qi for joining me today. Now, also be sure to follow the e-commerce podcast wherever you get your podcast from, because we've got some more great conversations lined up, and I don't want you to miss any of them. And in case no one has told you yet today, let me be the first. You are awesome. Yes, you are. Created awesome. It's just a burden you have to bear. Qi's got to bear it. I've got to bear it. You've got to bear it as well. Now, the e-commerce podcast is produced by PodJunction. You can find our entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app. The beautiful and phenomenal team that makes this show possible is Sadaf Bainon and Jonah Prisk. Our theme song was written by Josh Edmundson. And as I mentioned, transcript, the show notes, just head to the website. All kind of good stuff is on there at ecommercepodcast.net. But that's it from me. That's it from Qi. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.